What's up you guys, Tom here, and if you're wondering what the hell that was, well, you better keep watching this video because today we're going to be talking about whether you should be wearing a mask for COVID-19. But firstly, if you like seeing any of this content, please remember to smash the like button down below and also tap the subscribe button with the notification bell on. Okay, so getting back to masks. Generally, there are two types of masks that we would know of. The first one being surgical masks, and the second one is the respirator mask, also known as the N95 mask if you live in America, or the FPP mask if you live in the UK. Surgical masks have three separate layers to them which act to make it fluid resistant. So you will commonly see these being used in procedures that are everyday and routine, say at the dentist, doctors, going for a surgery, etc. In other words, they're used in everyday procedures where there's a risk of droplets or splashes, and it pretty much just provides a barrier for the user. It usually filters out stuff bigger than 5 microns or 5 micrometers in size, and they should be changed anytime they become wet or physically soiled or damaged. So generally they're a once-off use and throw away. The respirator mask does all of that, plus it also has a separate little mechanism in there which is designed to help filter out much smaller molecules and also aerosols. So you'll commonly see it being used in what they class as aerosol generating procedures, such as in hospital with intubation and things such as that. These masks will generally filter out 95% of all aerosols and particles down to the nanometer size. So you can see that they would be quite effective. Oh, and for goodness sake, if you have one of these, please don't wear it and then dangle it around your neck in between having a conversation with someone. I mean, I know they do it on all of the TV shows, but you wouldn't blow your nose and have a big wet booger in there and then wrap it around your neck for later, would you? It's a great way to get infected. Some research suggests that the SARS-CoV-2 particle size is actually about 0.2 microns or 200 nanometers in size. So you can see this would be quite small, and it would definitely challenge the surgical mask and most respirator masks. However, what we need to remember is that a lot of the time these particles will be attached to other droplets or aerosols which come, say, from a cough or a sneeze, and they'll be much larger in size. Okay, with that brief summary out the way, should we actually be wearing them? Well, before I answer that, I thought I would throw in here what the American CDC suggests as its 3 levels of operational status. So level 1 would be considered normal times, which is what we'd be used to going back 6 months ago, where people only really wore masks if they needed to, so a lot of the time it would be in any sort of medical service or in the construction industry or infrastructure, etc. Level 2 is known as the contingency mode, and this is the mode where you'll find a lot of governments will start cutting down and banning on certain things, such as non-urgent elective surgeries. Level 3, which is the mode we're sitting in right now, which is considered the crisis mode, the CDC recommends that no one should be wearing masks outside of the frontline workers, so thinking anyone in healthcare, say taxi drivers, delivery drivers, people who are going to have to come in contact with people and they can't always practice social isolation. This is also the time where you will see governments actually starting to hoard and stockpile these masks, which lead to the mass shortages that we're seeing around the world right now. They also recommend for healthcare workers that if you can, you should go beyond what the manufacturer recommends, which is to use the mask as long as you can, essentially. So if you're sitting at a desk and you're just doing paperwork all day, you could be expected to wear that one mask all day rather than changing it at certain intervals or every once in a while. As for whether this means that we, the public, should be wearing masks, well, in my opinion, I would say yes. The complicated part of this equation is that for the general public to be wearing masks, it really adds to this shortage around the world that we're experiencing. And then, as we're noticing now, that starts to take away these masks and resources from the frontline workers who really need them when they can't practice social distancing measures. And these would be the people who would be relying on masks as an added layer of protection. But these are also the people who would most likely be coming across a large concentration of, say, aerosols and droplets all day long as they work in these settings. Whereas for us, if we go, say, to the supermarkets because we're on home isolation and we're just wanting to pick up a few things, the most likely way we would be infected with COVID-19 or other diseases would be from touching a contaminated object and then touching our face at another point in the day. Or conversely, being sneezed or coughed on like this. In this case, wearing a mask would actually be very beneficial for us because it will help to filter out some of the droplets and larger particle sizes, as well as remind us that we shouldn't be touching our faces in the first place by having a physical barrier there. The thing is, when you compare a surgical mask to, say, an everyday homemade cloth mask that a lot of people are wearing nowadays, there isn't too much of a difference between the two for the general things that we would be doing throughout our everyday life, outside of being a frontline worker. Homemade masks can be made out of a variety of different materials, so cloth being a big one, old shirts, scarves. There's hundreds of videos out there on YouTube and other social media platforms. If you're interested, you can go and look them up. And the added bonus of a homemade mask is at the end of the day, when you finish wearing it and you're not going out anymore, you can just throw it in the wash and wear it the next day once it's dry. In other words, if you're lucky enough to have a mask sitting around, it's probably in your best interest to wear it when you go out. If you don't have one, it's probably in your best interest to consider maybe making one out of any sort of old clothing bits that you have. But you just got to remember, these are an important part of an equation which is usually considered a triad, which consists of having the right PPE, namely masks and gloves, hand washing and social distancing. When you practice all three of these together, it will significantly reduce your chance of being infected. And just as a demonstration, I'm using an old respirator mask of mine where I've just got some plain flour here, and it's really just to mimic what would happen if you came across droplets from, say, a sneeze or a cough. If you were near someone. Flour has a size ranging from 1 to 100 microns, which is larger than the SARS-CoV-2 virus, but the average size of a droplet from a human sneeze is about 10 to 100 microns. So really it allows our mask to be effective, and basically it's the best I can do without having someone actually sneeze in my face. So think about it. If you're walking along at the shops and someone up ahead, a couple of meters ahead, sneezes or coughs, well, any sort of homemade or purchased mask would act as a barrier to help block these droplets out. If you got really close with someone and they had a really wet sneeze, they had a whole lot of stuff shoot out and cover your face and all of the surroundings like a number 3, well, you'd still relatively be protected by your mask. And of course, as we saw earlier, if you were one of the people who didn't and you came across this unfortunate situation, well, it's not very sanitary. Ugh. Okay, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed the content that you've seen, please do remember to like and comment down below. And if you're interested in seeing any more topics like this or other health related topics in general, please remember to hit the subscribe button with the notification bell on. I hope you enjoy your day. I hope you go and remember to share a laugh with someone, and I'll see you in the next one.